Hey Michael, what movie are we about to review?
Joker.
Well, I have some good or bad news, Michael, depending how you want to take it. We actually don't have to review this movie anymore. Do you know why?
No, Luke, why?
Because Michael SNL has already done it for us over a year ago. Do you want to hear how they describe Joker?
Yes, I do, Luke.
Okay, well here we go.
But the thing that this movie is really about is white male rage, white male rage, white male rage. Joker.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Yas, Queen. Hello, and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Luke. And this week, we are continuing our celebration of the Oscars by looking at last year's Best Picture nominees. And this week, we will be looking at the film Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. So, Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Joker?
Sure thing, Michael. So, Joker is a 2019 American psychological thriller film directed and produced by Todd Phillips, who co-wrote the screenplay with Scott Silver. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, just possibly the best name of anybody in human history, and one of the best actors as well, perhaps. Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, and Francis Conroy. The movie was released on October the 4th, 2019 in the United States. And Michael, can you tell me what the budget was for Joker?
Yeah, it was 50 million.
What did you say?
50 million.
Okay, I thought you said 15 then, and I was like, oh, don't tell me he's got it wrong again by that much. But no, it's a good guess. 55 to 70 was the budget. So yeah, we'll give you that. Well, we won't give you it, but we'll give you a pat on the back. How about the box office? How much money did Joker make at the box office?
See, I think it was a lot, but I might be confusing it a bit with Deadpool, because obviously I know Deadpool made like big bucks, and this of course was an R-rated film, and I feel like this made quite big bucks too. I feel like it made over 500 million, but maybe 650 million.
Do you remember how much money Deadpool raked in, Michael?
I think Deadpool raked in like 800 million or something.
And what record did Joker break when it was released?
Oh well, I guess you're going to say it broke Deadpool's record.
Most money ever made by an R-rated movie.
Okay, in that case, yeah. So it'll probably be like, but with that in mind, I guess it was probably maybe even a billion, but maybe like 900 million.
A billion.
Maybe 850. Or was it a billion?
1.074 billion.
Wow.
So I don't know how you didn't guess higher than Deadpool, considering you knew about how much money Deadpool made. And I would have thought you would have recollected that this movie broke
the record.
Yeah,
yeah. That's funny. I mean,
but
yeah.
You still managed to get it wrong. I mean, look, we'll move on now. But
Phew.
yeah, I know, right? Few for you. But anyway, Joker. Of course, we are doing this movie because it was nominated for Best Picture at the 92nd Academy Awards. The film earned a leading 11 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Joaquin Phoenix, of course, won Best Actor, who became the second actor to win an Oscar for portraying the Joker, following Jared Leto.
That's not true.
It was actually Cesar Romero.
Okay, there we go. Thank you for getting it right now.
It was Heath Ledger in 2009, and Best Original Score for Hilda. Oh, fucking hell.
Hillbilly Elegy.
Guon na Dottir. See, the thing is, I have actually watched a video from YouTuber Sideways about how the Joker's musical score, and I remember seeing that woman and hearing her name, and I still can't pronounce it. So sorry about that. That is the Joker. And yeah, the reason why we're doing it, of course, is because it got nominated for Best Picture at the 2020 Oscars. I remember on the day of the Oscars, Lad Bible. I'm sure you're aware of them, Michael. They're a thing in the UK.
The height of journalistic integrity.
Yeah, exactly. They posted like a poll of what movie should win Best Picture at the Oscars that night, and Joker absolutely took the crown. He got like 75% of the vote.
The Joker's a real lad.
And he's a complete lad, isn't he? But Michael, let me ask you: did you like Joker?
Yes, I thought this film was a good film. Did you like Joker?
The first time I watched this, I came out thinking, it was decent. Decent, like 7 out of 10 vibes.
But then you came out and realised you hated it the second time around.
And then I watched it again, and I realised this is a masterpiece. This might be the greatest movie of all time. Might be my first 10 out of 10, Michael.
Okay, now you're let me just clarify, because I know you're a bit of a joker sometimes. You are being serious, aren't you, Luke? Let's just Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Definitely
Wait, are
are.
you? Wait.
Yeah.
I feel like you're lying. See, Luke, you're always lying to me, but then sometimes you're actually telling the truth. Like when you said you hated Jojo Rabbit, I thought you were joking because of the whole Nazi thing.
I'm just like the Joker.
I know,
you don't know
I
what I'm
can't
going to
tell.
do.
Well, I guess the only thing we can do is review the film, and of course, the most reliable indication of whether or not you think the film's a 10 out of 10 will be whether or not you have any nitpicks.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see if you think I'm telling the truth. But I always like to inject a little chaos into the situation.
Yeah, I know. It's so scary.
Yeah, that's just how twisted I am. Okay, so I've got one nitpick and one lit pick.
Okay, I've got no nitpicks and one lit pick. So I go first, I guess, then.
Yeah, someone's a button, so yeah.
Yes. So, okay. In that case, that's another good reason for me to go first. So my lit pick is pretty simple. I liked the car jokes that the comedian was playing, or saying rather, before Joker came on stage. I thought they were funny jokes about how women and men perceive sex with reference to the cars, and I liked that.
Actually, you know what, Michael? I didn't really like those jokes. I preferred Arthur's jokes. I found those a lot funnier. Anyway, my nitpick. Why would these Gotham? What are like Bruce? No, not Bruce. Wayne Industries investors. Why would they be taking the train? These investment bankers, like a dirty train. Surely they'd get a cab, right? Surely they'd have the money to do that. I don't know.
That's
Seems
the point,
yeah. Maybe they did, but I don't know. Seems pretty unlikely that they'd be doing that. Anyway, my lit pick, Michael. My lit pick. Perhaps here's the thing. Of course, this movie, we'll get into it, but this movie was a cult. We'll get into actually how good the movie is, but this movie was a cultural phenomenon, as evidenced by the 1 billion box office takings that this film managed to achieve. And I remember, of course, there was so much discourse about this movie. Like, it wasn't just massively successful; it was, it was also like a cultural, touchstone. I don't know if that's a good phrase for it, but basically, like, so many people had so many takes on it. Everyone was talking about this movie, and I just remember this headline from The Onion, and it was around the time the movie came out, and it just says, here we go, I'm going to click on it, it just says, from the 25th of October 2019, report, make it stop. Please just make it stop. And there's 4 pictures, and there's pictures of Matt Gaetz, who has been in the news recently as well, standing in front of, so there's a bunch of House Republicans who broke into some committee hearings around this time. Don't know if you remember that. Like, they did illegal stuff. They should have done that. There was the Mark Zuckerberg hearing. I remember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez asked Twitter, what question should I ask Mark Zuckerberg? And I DM'd her to say you should ask him about what he thought of the new Joker movie. She did not reply or ask that question, unfortunately.
And that's when you realised you were an incel after all.
I know, yeah, I don't know, but that's the thing. It was around the same time, so yeah. And then there's in the top left-hand corner, there's Rudy Giuliani. So I don't know what the hell Giuliani was doing around this time, but yeah. And then in the bottom, sorry, that's the top left, and in the bottom left there's Joker. So yeah, Zuckerberg, Matt Gaetz, and the Republicans, Joker and Giuliani, all at the same time in October 2019, and it's like just Onion report, make it stop. So I'm guessing this was like peak, I don't know, like. Of the Trump years, because of course Trump, he inspired some great takes and discourse and all of that stuff. This around this time, October 2019, was like, it feels like peak sort of internet culture, sort of like Twitter fucking takes. I don't know. It just feels like there was so many crazy news stories going on.
Yeah,
and that's what I look back on with this Joker movie came out at this time, and of course then COVID happened and Trump's gone now, so. We may never replicate this crazy time, but it was one hell of a time if you're interested in this stuff and in this kind of world, which I am, and you are, to a lesser degree in, and as well as many people. Yeah, so that's what I remember from this movie as well. Yeah.
And 2020 was so comparatively boring. Nothing happened.
To be fair, it was.
Yeah, it was actually.
But, there was just months when nothing happened because everyone was indoors and COVID was occurring. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry. This is when everything was happening.
Yeah, everything was more fun. And I mean, in 2021, it's going to be even more boring because, you know, Trump's not president.
Exactly. Trump's not right. But are we ever going to have those times like in October 2019 again? I don't know. Maybe if Trump comes back, maybe that's our only hope. But yeah, Michael, let's get into the actual plot of the movie of Joker. I believe the plot is that this guy he's a little bit twisted, he's a little bit chaotic, and what he decides to do is he decides to go into a pet store and try to make the parrots say the N-word. Because
that's
he's so chaotic. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm tired of society saying that we can't say it.
Yeah, and just imagine that. Yeah, no, but that's the thing. Like the old school Joker was just like a troll. Like, but this one's different. Like he's not just a clown that gets mad at Batman.
He's a serious guy. He cares about the most important issues.
Yeah, like the getting parrots to say the N-word. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's the thing though. This Joker is different to the other Jokers because it's more realistic, you know. And basically, well, look, it's a movie that I think a lot of people can take a lot of different things from, but that's what makes it so interesting. But I think this, like we always do, the safest thing to do is just start with the plot. So the film, based on the DC Comics characters, the Joker, provides an alternative origin story for his character. So the previous origin stories from the Joker where he fell into a vat of acid, I believe. And in the Christopher Nolan ones, maybe he was ex-army guy. Maybe that was it. I can't.
Yeah. I remember they did touch on that. So yeah.
Yeah, but this of course isn't that. It's like he's different to the other Jokers. He's definitely more mentally ill than the Jack Nicholson Joker who just wanted to have sex with people. And it's set in 1981. It follows Arthur Fleck, a failed clown and stand-up comedian, whose descent into insanity and nihilism inspires a violent countercultural revolution against the wealthy in a decaying Gotham City. If only we could get one of those, hey Michael? If only we need one of those again. Joker, there you go. There's the basis for it. Again, like a lot of things, like nihilism, insanity, is fucking stand-up comedian. A failed clown. Imagine being a failed clown.
Yeah, I know, A clown's usually what you call someone as an insult.
Yeah, and a violent countercultural revolution against the wealthy in the decaying Gotham City. So many things, so much stuff. Just wonderful. So, Michael, this clown, he's unhappy, isn't he? He's not happy with his life. I mean, and it's easy to see why. It's pretty shit. In the opening scene, he gets beaten up, goes to a therapist. She doesn't care about him, and his co-workers don't like him. You know, just an awful, pitiful life. Someone at the bottom rung of the societal ladder. And as an origin story from the Joker, you could. The vat of acid, of course, is stupid. Or you could do the thing where he's like, he's been radicalized overseas. You know, he comes back and he's a nihilist because of what he experienced in the armed forces in the United States. But yeah, this is different, of course. This is I think probably much more realistic in terms of how someone would be a Joker or start as the character Joker. Basically, what do you think? Yes,
I definitely think so, and I do like the way he is. And I think, you know, they're quite clever with it. Obviously, they give him that. It's not just that he's mentally ill. He specifically has a mental illness that means that he laughs uncontrollably. I guess it's, you know, something like a form of Tourette's, and you know that's another layer to it. But yeah, I very much agree.
Did you like that thing? Did you like the Tourette's thing?
Yeah,
because I thought it was good as well. I'm just saying.
Good.
You know, yeah.
Good,
I mean,
yeah,
look.
Yeah.
The rest of his mental health issue, you know, it's very cliche how he lives with his mother, and you know he also bathes her, like just a super weird thing to do, of course. And this weirdo was doing it just to show you he's a bit weird. Like he hides in fridges, like he's
he dances around a lot.
I'm just like comparing him to like the Jack Nicholson Joker, just so different. Like this guy fucking. Yeah. The Jack Nicholson Joker just so happy and just wants to get laid, and this guy's hiding in fridges. Just a completely different character.
It is like the Chad Virgin meme.
Yeah,
It's like the Chad Jack Nicholson Joker. Oh dear.
But that's the thing. I think of like this fucking like he's a comic book character. He's like a clown from the 1930s who like annoys Batman. He's like he's like he's then now being transformed into this fucking mentally ill guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a great example of how things just like evolve.
Yeah,
Like
no.
it literally did start with some guy who just,
Bathing his mother, like
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the Joker is an inherently stupid character. So if you're gonna make an origin story, I guess you have to go down this path of just making him like a cliche like weirdo. But yeah, again, it's just funny to compare to previous Jokers, and yeah. So but that's the thing, like. Todd Phillips, of course, famously, he has said that he didn't want to actually do a Joker movie. He wanted to make a movie like this. But of course, the issue was that no studio is going to make a movie like this unless it's a comic book movie. So why not make this movie about this mentally ill man who goes crazy, and rises up against the elites in society, etc., all of that stuff. Why not make it a Joker movie instead? Why not, Michael? Why not? And it works. And it works. Yeah, I guess it does work. People had issues perhaps beforehand for you're going to take the Joker in this direction, but I think Joaquin Phoenix, of course, the key is his performance, right? Because I saw some people saying it's like over the top, and I was like, nah, it's not over the top. It's not. He plays it brilliantly. But yeah, again, I guess to sum up on this section, that's
actually, I've got actually one more thing to say about him being about his mental illness. Now I think about it, which is he's very lucid and kind of like self-aware of his own condition, and
I think some people are like that.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously you think about other films about kind of crazy people, you don't usually have them acknowledge the fact they're crazy. Like in No Country for Old Men, you don't have Anton Chigurh going, I'm a psychopath. I can't connect to people on an emotional level, Whereas in this film, it's very obvious that
maybe
Joker
he doesn't
knows
need to say that.
Yeah,
Would Chigurh ever have, that's his character name, right?
Yeah.
Would he have ever gone into a mental asylum or been treated by the state because he's a psychopath? No, he's not a psychopath.
Exactly.
Because being a psychopath in society nowadays isn't considered a mental illness. Unfortunately, look. It's like a lot of people who are very powerful are often psychopaths.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah.
Why would that be considered a mental illness? If society
you are
values
right,
that. So
yeah.
So that's the thing. This guy, obviously, I don't know what his specific mental illness is.
I guess it seems like he's kind of it's depression combined with some kind of I guess Tourette's. Like it feels like Tourette's if you're kind of just having random outbursts.
He would be. Here's the thing. He would be like autistic. I don't know, like the way you can't connect in social situations.
Oh yeah, that would work. Yeah.
People who are autistic are often like good at something. They're really interested. Like he's
this
really
guy's good at killing people.
No, but you could say he's really interested in comedy. But I don't know. Or that Marvin, Murray. How did I get that wrong?
Oh, yeah.
The Murray Show. So yeah, maybe he is, but I don't know. Like he's, look, he's definitely mentally ill, and I guess as a Joker origin story, even though it's quite different to the to previous Jokers, and that's the thing. I kept thinking, like watching the movie, it's like he's self-aware, but he isn't that smart, obviously. And if you were to be like a foil for Batman. Like this, you can't put Batman up against this guy.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because I actually wrote it down. I said, could this Joker ever be a villain? And that's kind of like that's what I am thinking, because obviously it's kind of interesting because obviously Zack Snyder's Justice League film was released, wherein Jared Leto was of course playing the Joker, and it does lead to a question, which is obviously because there was a moment where it was thought like, oh, they're just going to abandon the whole Jared Leto thing, and maybe they still will. I mean, who knows what's happening now? But it'll be interesting to see, like you say, can this character ever be the actual, because like you say, it was just chosen because he wanted to do a film about a crazy person, and he just chose the Joker as the vehicle.
They say it's an origin story for the Joker, but okay, so this is the origin, so presumably in this universe, like then he actually becomes the Joker, like, and fights Batman. You cannot imagine this Joker fighting Batman.
Yeah, like it just doesn't work. I mean, I hate to say it, but Cesar Romero is more convincing. At least Cesar Romero has like massive bombs and stuff that he can, give to Batman in a parcel. And
Yeah,
stuff.
he's
This
just
guy-
like
this
Batman
guy.
chased him down and he hides in the fridge again.
Yeah,
Whereas-
so, yeah,
whereas-
he'd just be dancing, like just dancing down some stairs to go. Like, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I guess, I mean, who knows? Maybe he could evolve. Maybe his thing could just be that he bloody, like, I think the Joker can obviously have henchmen, but then
Yeah.
like that's the other thing though. How could this guy? Because this guy can't really like. How would he get henchmen? Because I know that obviously the people in the crowd love him, but he's not exactly charismatic.
No,
You think about it,
he
he's
isn't
no Mark Hamill.
charismatic. So yeah, I can imagine like Batman just easily dealing with it. Like he's not mentally like how
Yeah.
those kids beat him up at the start.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, I wonder how Batman's going to deal
Yeah.
with this. The epic fight between Joaquin Phoenix's Joker and Batman. Oh no, I wonder how it's going to go. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's an origin story, but if
Yeah.
this was an actual movie, if Batman actually faced this Joker, it wouldn't. I guess the vulnerabilities or the problems with this Joker would be
Yes.
seen. So it's good that it's just an origin story.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like I guess it's trying to be as realistic as possible. I like this how someone called the Joker could come to life in real life, but the problem is they'd have to be mentally ill, and they would have
Yeah.
to. Then they could not face off against Batman, and he could not be a formidable foe. So yeah, that's why there was talk of like sequels, and I'm like, there probably
Yeah.
shouldn't be a sequel, at least involving Batman. 'Cause
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing.
be over quickly. Really.
I did like him dyeing his hair though.
Oh, yeah.
When he dyes his hair, but it's kind of like it's funny because obviously when he dyes his hair, it's funny because obviously that's kind of a signature thing of the Joker, him having green hair. So it's like,
Yes.
oh, he's become the Joker now. But like you say, it's funny at the same time because this guy does not feel like he'd ever be. It's kind of like, if anything, this almost feels like the origin story for the incel who would pretend to be the Joker. Like this feels like. Okay, so you know how like Kick-Ass was basically like the plot, and also Super, that film by what's his face, were about like the idea of what if somebody became a superhero in real life. Mm-hmm. This film, like you kind of said, is like about what if somebody became a super villain in real life.
Okay, well,
But,
we'll go back to that. Yeah, we'll go back to that later because I've got that in social commentary.
yeah.
We'll swing back to that. But anyway, let's get more into the plot because we talked about the actual Joker character, and yeah, again, I think the key thing is Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic, and of course, that some people say overacting. Fuck off. He was so good, and everybody who thinks differently is
Yeah,
stupid.
I think I'll say this. The only thing I think which somebody could maybe characterize as overacting, which isn't overacting, is they could say that some of the post-production and editing decisions come across as very heavy-handed, like obviously the classic example being him dancing in slow motion while this slow music plays, but that's not his acting. So I feel like maybe I could see somebody saying like that part of the performance felt a bit over the top, but even then that's not because of his acting, it's because of the...
direction.
So yeah, I don't think anyone can say that his actual acting...
Well,
was
people
over
did,
the
and
top.
they're wrong.
Liars.
Anyway, let's get into we're starting with the concept, I guess. Now the actual plot. So basically, well, let's go through what happens to him really. So this girl in the elevator, because of course he has hallucinations quite a bit. So this girl in the elevator talks to him. She's black, by the way. That might come in handy later. And once
Yes.
again, he doesn't have a normal interaction with her. You can't have normal interactions with anybody. Then he follows her to work, and she knocks on his door the next day. And here's the thing, Michael. So I'm just gonna ask you: did you think that was a dream sequence or not when they were together? Their relationship. Did you think the first time you watched it they were dreaming or not?
Yes. So yeah, I guess we're getting... I mean, did you? Just to clarify, because the way you were phrasing it made it sound as if you thought it was quite obvious.
And no, I don't think I was trying to phrase it in a way that made it quite obvious.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know, the way you were like, he speaks to her and he can't really interact with her properly. And then, for me, I mean, this is all reasons why I personally was like, oh, it doesn't feel particularly...
Yes. Well, the thing is, she asked him if she should follow him to work. And
Yes.
initially, while watching the movie, I was thinking, it could be real when she knocks on his door. But the fact that she asked him about following her to work made me think, no, that this can't be real, since who would be happy about that?
Yeah.
And their previous interaction wasn't normal, and she's got a kid. Like, there is no way that...
Yeah, and to be honest, if she did, if it was real, she should see a psychiatrist.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Oh, if this turns out to be real, they're both fucking crazy. She could have been Harley Quinn. She could have been Black Lady Joker.
Yes, that would have been great. I mean, yeah. No, yeah, I mean, genuinely though, it is, you're right. She would have made a great sidekick, but unfortunately she had to be fake.
Yeah, she had to be fake, unfortunately.
Women always fake, aren't they?
I know, God, they're never real, are they?
No, yeah, but that's the thing. She is so. I'm trying to think like it's kind of like it's weird because even if you didn't I'd say with this film, it's just a matter of like when somebody would realize she's fake. Because it's like, even if you don't realize, based on the fact that she like, is interested in him, even after he's been a weirdo, even if you don't realize that she doesn't respond how a normal person would respond to, being followed home, even if like you don't realize, there's got to be a point at which, you're not reaching the reveal.
Okay. Well,
thinking,
you know what? This could get quite. I was going to bring this up, and even though you've said that, I'm going to bring it up anyway. Because they're anonymous. The two friends who I went to see this movie with at the cinema. Remember when you could go to the cinema?
Yeah, I miss those days.
Yeah, they
make fun of your friends.
Yeah, the theatre was. I saw it opening weekend. The theatre was absolutely, or the cinema, because we're in the UK, was absolutely packed. Absolutely packed. There was not a spare seat in the house, and we got some really great seats, like right in the middle. The middle, not too far up, or to the floor, perfect seats to watch this epic masterpiece. And they came out and said they didn't realise that it was hallucinations. They thought the relationship was real.
Your friends, they're clearly they need to be put in a mental institution. I mean, that's the thing. Like, She also says, "Oh, you're so funny, Arthur," and no one would ever say that now. And also, I don't think he told her his name. So, and she could see it, because he may have something on the building like that says his name. I don't know, but yeah, I was like, I don't know. That gives another clue that it might be. Might be off. Yeah. It's interesting because, like, on the one hand, it's sort of like it's kind of like she feels like such a non-character that it almost like makes you realize she can't be a real person. And yet at the same time, if she was more characterized, she'd almost have to feel less like a real person, because the more time they could spend trying to make her feel like a real person, the more time you would have to realize that no real person would be interested in hanging out with the Joker. And it is kind of the case
that the Joker, yeah.
Oh yeah, that is true, yeah. But I mean, maybe when she does become the Joker, she'll get into it.
Another thing, did you think that he, of course, here's the thing, like, I think it's ridiculous. Like, I thought it was quite obvious, and you do as well. And so maybe there wasn't, maybe people just thought, it's, who knows, she could be mentally ill as well. Maybe. Yeah. But anyway, so she is, of course, Arthur walks into her apartment and she says, "Hey, can you leave me, please?" And here's the thing, then he walks out again and you don't see what happens now.
Oh yeah.
Did you think that he killed her?
Oh, you know what? Okay, this is genuinely going to be. This is going to genuinely surprise you. I didn't really consider it. No.
See, I did consider it, but I thought no, because there's no reason to, because she hadn't have hurt him. And
and he does show later on that, of course, he's not interested in hurting people who haven't.
Yes, and I do remember seeing an interview saying that doesn't have, or seeing like I think Todd Phillips saying no.
And all the incels are really angry.
Yeah.
Like, what? The Joker betrayed me.
The Joker didn't kill this woman.
This is the worst thing since Joaquin Phoenix said. What did he say when he accepted the award for the award for Best Actor? He was like saying something about like how. Do you remember he basically said like some woke stuff about race and women.
I thought he said stuff about cow's milk.
Really?
Yeah, the Academy Awards, like, don't drink cow's milk, it's rape.
That's I mean, not bad advice. I mean, what are we, baby cows? Come on. No, but yeah, I will say this. It feels like those scenes, they feel kind of like, the second time around watching it, I was thinking to myself, these scenes feel, even having realized the first time that it was fake pretty early on, the second time I really just thought to myself, these scenes feel very fake. Oh, no, sorry, not fake. I'm being an idiot. Very unimportant, and it's kind of like, I don't know. Those scenes feel they feel pointless. That's what I'm looking for. They got there eventually.
Yeah, I mean, they're just showing how crazy he is, like how wacky he is. Yeah.
I mean, like, because I've said before with like, there is such a thing as a twist that gets better on a second watch. I mean, a lot of them, it's like there's a twist and you watch it and like, wow, this sounds more, no, not at all.
No, yeah, and just showing he's a loner, just getting it across to you, he is not normal, like hammering that home, I guess. In case you didn't get it from the fact that he hides in fridges and bathes his mother.
But by the way, speaking of twists, I think I'm now very confident you will in fact give this film a 10 out of 10. I can tell by your utter unrestricted enthusiasm for every aspect of this film.
Okay, so kind of a pointless thing, really. And I suppose like the cuts back to him showing like, oh, she's not really there when she's, or he's by his mother's side at hospital and she's disappeared. It's like, okay, we fucking get it. You don't need to do that. Christ, do you think we're all babies? You think we're all fucking idiots? Apparently, Todd Phillips does. But anyway, we'll move on to the next part of the movie. So, the next section, I guess. Arthur gets fired after dropping a gun at a kid's hospital. And yeah, that's a great scene, great comedic timing as well. Beautiful. Gets on a train, and he then confronts these bankers, who, of course, are laughing at him, and they proceed to beat him up before, of course, he shoots them.
Bankers with a capital W.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into this in the social commentary later. There's a lot of stuff that we're saving for that part.
Yes.
And of course, he dances in a random bathroom as you do, showing that he's taking control of his life. He's free, he's empowered, and he leaves his job the next day happy. Since he's he's murdered these people. Everyone is talking about him doing that. He's getting attention. For he's happy for once in his life. This is the path he's taken, and I like that. And that I assume that gives him the confidence to go and perform at this comedy club. And once again, he hallucinates as he often does. Again, that's the thing. This happens, and it's clear he's hallucinating, because it's not that he suddenly got funny. It's very clear that he's making this up because the music swells. So I'm like, how? Yeah, he obviously hallucinates a lot. And then then he finds a letter from his mother saying that Thomas Wayne is his dad. So he goes to the Wayne Manor, and Alfred tells him, he's delusional. His mother's delusional. To think that Thomas Wayne is his dad. So then he goes and finds Thomas Wayne and tells him that he is and Thomas Wayne tells him that he is adopted, and his mother got put into Arkham Asylum. And he says it so quickly and knows the story so well that I thought maybe, this is something that he's been trained to say, so he is lying. But then of course he would have had the conversation with Alfred about it yesterday. So yeah, I was like, no, that doesn't actually make sense. He could have talked to Alfred about it, because Alfred of course mentioned it to him. So then his mum goes into cardiac arrest and is at the hospital, and Arthur sees Murray making fun of him on TV. Basically that has an impact later on. But what he decides to do is he decides to go and find out, of course, whether his mother is actually his mother. And look, this is another. Of course, the hallucination part, that bit solved. Yes, he was hallucinating, but this one is, of course, a bit more up in the air. Was his mother actually crazy, or was his mother not crazy? And Thomas Wayne paid everyone off to ensure that this was the case. What do you think, Michael?
I think it's a difficult one, but I do think that it's probably the case that she was crazy, because the thing is, obviously she kind of seems crazy as an adult, as an older woman. So I guess you have to argue that if she wasn't crazy to begin with, then obviously she'd have to have become crazy. Although I guess you could say she was crazy, and then maybe Thomas Wayne slept with her because he knew she couldn't do anything. But I don't know, it sounds a bit contrived. I think it's probably easier to apply Occam's razor, say the simplest explanation is probably the truest one, because like you say, the idea you'd have to brainwash everyone, or not brainwash, but pay off everyone.
We're applying Occam's razor to this. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. We're applying Occam's razor to a movie which makes you toss up whether one story is right or one isn't. Wow, that's fucking brilliant stuff, Michael.
Thank you, you're welcome. It makes me sound smart though, because I said Occam's razor.
No, everyone's been saying it these last few years.
Yeah, you are right.
So no, it doesn't. But yeah, I think the key thing is that, I guess the thing is he has a condition, of course, that he laughs, and I guess that would imply that yes, he was adopted, and all that stuff about his mother letting her abusive boyfriend abuse him was correct, because anytime he was abused, he would laugh like his mother told him to. But basically she would have said, just laugh, never cry, always laugh, etc. And that's how he gets that condition. Whenever he's sad or nervous, he just laughs. So that's where that condition comes from. And at the end of the day, you could say, well, it doesn't really matter, does it, Michael? It doesn't really matter whether Thomas Wayne paid him off, or he's actually telling the truth, and this guy, Arthur, was adopted, because at the end of the day, he's been treated awfully by Thomas Wayne, and he's been treated awfully by the state as well, by his mother. He's just been treated awfully. Like, society has absolutely effed him over, and that's basically it, whether it's by this rich guy directly or indirectly. via the state. So yeah, that's that, and it explains how he's so mentally ill, I guess. And then what does he decide to do, Michael? He decides to.
He decides to go on the show.
Well, I was going to say he decides to kill his mother because that happens first.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, he does do that, doesn't he?
Yeah, how could you forget
Yes.
that?
He just kills so many people, doesn't he, towards the end?
Yeah.
Like, I also skipped over him killing the other person.
Yeah. So then after he finds out that his mother's boyfriend abused him, I think this is, of course, the point in the movie where Arthur becomes, I guess, fully nihilist. Like, that's the thing. After that point, like, he's crying and laughing, reading the report about how his mother, what his mother, like, happened to him. And then he, like, kind of switches. And throughout the rest of the movie, he's, like, never sad again. Like, he's just, like, his transformation is complete, I guess. He's had this comedian guy make fun of him, or his idol make fun of him and mock him. His mother's lied to him. And his father, Thomas, I don't know if he looked up to Thomas Wayne, but his mother liked him, and his possible father completely rejected him and punched him. Like, he lost his job as well. And also, he hasn't been taking medication either. Like, everything has lined up. So yeah, it is, I guess, what you would call an exploitation film, Michael. That would be correct, right?
Yes, exploitation.
Everything bad happens to this guy, and so therefore, then he takes what path does he take? Well, he becomes just a nihilist, and then what does he say? He says, "I always thought my life was a tragedy, but now it's a comedy." So he had it's like he had a stake in society. Like, society was like, basically he thought he had an input, and he thought, I've just had some bad luck. I've just not been in a good place in society. But then I guess he's saying, like, he realizes like he has no stake in society, and basically society doesn't exist either. So his life has just been kind of a pointless joke, as it were. Like, that's what he says. Now it's a comedy. So that's his rationale for becoming this nihilist. And of course it works with the Joker, because the Joker's about, he's quite nihilistic. I think that's fair. That's a streak you've had throughout the various Jokers. And he has been fully blackpilled, Michael, and now he's now whenever he laughs after this, he's laughing because he wants to laugh, because he's actually happy. There's no more like being sad and laughing just to hide the pain. No, now life is a joke. That's it. And he completes the turn. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, yeah, I think that's true. Basically, it is, I guess, a story. It's like the mental health equivalent to a coming of age story. He decides to realize. It's kind of an interesting thing. I guess he does come to realize that his life sucks, but he just sort of embraces it. I was just remembering a very terrible film that features the line "Embrace the suck," which I'm not going to explain at all. But basically, he embraces the suck, and the reality is that obviously that kind of does. I guess it's kind of like, it's an interesting idea, because I'm reminded of a quote. "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." Do you think that would be a good quote for this film?
Say that quote again, sorry.
It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society.
Oh, that's very Joker-esque.
I know, yeah, exactly.
I can imagine the Joker saying that.
Yeah, basically, so the idea being, it's not necessarily that he's like in the best situation exactly, but it's kind of like, compared to the standards of the society he lives in, he's kind of superseded them, and that's kind of made him happier.
Mm-hmm.
He's rebelled.
Well, he doesn't see himself as a part of society anymore. Like,
he doesn't think we live in a society.
Well, that's the thing. The famous line, which he never actually says, which is, "We live in a society." That's his, I guess, I don't know, ideology. Like, it seems a bit weird saying like these fancy terms for a guy who hides in fridges, but his ideology is there is no society. At least I am not part of a society. I am
it's
free.
Like Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, he agrees with Margaret Thatcher, but that's the thing. Like, as we'll get onto later, like Thatcher's policies, that was her ideology, and therefore it would make sense that people would react to, basically things being cut, poor opportunities for people like Arthur who don't have any value, to then think, oh, society doesn't exist, because they would have been on the back, receiving end of policies which were designed, and implemented by that ideology that society doesn't exist. So that makes, and of course this is set in the 80s, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like Malcolm X said, "We ain't never seen no democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy."
That'd be another great Joker line.
Exactly.
If there's ever a black Joker.
Hey, Murray. Well, no, that would really annoy the incels.
Well, we'll get onto the white male stuff later on as well.
Yeah.
So, Joker prepares to go on the Murray Franklin show. Why does he? Do you know why he says Murray?
I think it's because it's quirky.
Okay, he's a quirky guy, is Arthur, and yes, he that's the thing. He's basically like there's this scene where he's like pretending to go on, before he actually does, and he's basking in his own, I guess, nihilistic glory, if you will. He's like, the sun is shining on him. He's pointing a gun to his face. He's planning to, of course, end it all on the show with a knock joke. But then Randall stops by, and the dwarf guy, who I think he's called Gary from my memory. Then he kills them, and that's
He doesn't kill Gary.
Of course, yes, he doesn't kill Gary naturally.
Because Gary was nice.
And I tell you what, there was when he scares Gary when he walks next to him.
Yeah,
that right there was hilarious, and I remember my whole cinema burst out laughing watching that.
Nothing like laughing at dwarves.
Exactly. But it was just so funny. And oh god, that's the thing. Sometimes you miss cinemas, sometimes you don't. And that was one of the, like, just everyone laughing at the when I'll go,
It's actually quite funny now I think about it, because a lot of incels are quite short. That's one of the reasons
How
they're
many
incels.
times have you mentioned incels?
I know. Well, it's because it's like I'm actually, you got to remember, Luke, I actually do have a master's in journalism now, which means I am obligated to talk about incels anytime we talk about the Joker. No, but I am imagining, because obviously the incels love this movie, that they'll be very upset to see a short guy get made fun of, because obviously they know that Chad is 6 foot.
No, I don't know. Is that a really a?
I don't know. Like, I know, like, there is the whole thing about, like, how if you're a 6 foot plus Chad, then you get all the girls. And if
like,
you're
just like
a
me.
5 foot something manlet, yeah, exactly, yeah, that's the thing. You're I mean, I am actually, I'm 6 foot nothing, but I mean, it's still 6 foot. But yeah, if you're a 5 foot something manlet, then the girls they don't swipe right.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I was a foot shorter, maybe I would be an incel. But as it happens, I'm not. So
you laugh. I genuinely, like, sometimes I have thought that, like, the difference that that being like shorter can make, I do think is I think it's a real struggle, and that's why the manlets,
I wouldn't know.
Well, that's why the manlets need to rise up.
I wouldn't know if it's a real struggle, because
I know, yeah.
that's the thing. It's just I've been blessed with this height, and I don't know. This is the thing. It's an interesting thing. But anyway, let's stop talking about height and incels and start talking once again about Joker. So obviously, he then dances down the stairs, Joker, to a very interesting song, Michael. Do you remember when you saw it in the or saw this movie for the first time? Do you recall what song that was, or did you have to look it up after?
I don't remember when he's dancing downstairs.
Oh, you don't know? There was a whole thing about it after this movie came out. It was
really.
God, you really know nothing, do you?
Yeah, I know nothing.
It was
Jon Snow.
It was fuck off. It was Gary Glitter.
Sorry, that song. I knew that song. I actually knew that song anyway.
Yeah,
I know that song.
There's no point in knowing that song if you don't then recall it when we're discussing it.
But that song's in what's that film? Any Given Sunday. That song's in Any Given Sunday when they're I don't know. It's like when they're going out to. It's when they're going out to the final game. Plays that music, and you've got like the cheerleaders dancing. Yeah. It's the best part of the film.
I mean, maybe I'm just picturing that final song with that. Sorry, the final scene.
Yeah, you can imagine it anyway.
And going, hey, that's great.
Yes, I do that song.
Of course, you're putting a Gary Glitter song in this movie. Of course, you have to. Todd Phillips is a genius. So that happens, and then he goes to the show with Murray. Says, Murray, when you bring me on, can you introduce me as Joker? And he does, and that's how it was born. Roll credits, as they say.
My name is Joker, and as you can see, I'm a lot happier now.
And Murray questions him about, the clown makeup, and he says he doesn't believe any of that. Just wants to be on the show. He's not political. He just, and I we'll get into that later, I guess, the whole bit. But here's the thing. He says you could make the justification. He just wants to be noticed and remembered. Like, he started this movement and everything. So, that's what he's doing. And yeah, he was going to kill himself on the show. That's what I think he was practicing. But then I guess he changed his mind by the fact that he was getting made
Heroic.
fun of so much.
Do you know what? Actually, that reminds me of the whole scene. Reminds me of one Family Guy joke I like, where it's Peter's talking about working for the suicide hotline, and he gets a call by a guy, and the guy's like, I just found out my wife's been cheating on me, and I think I might end it. I think I'm going to kill myself. And then Peter Griffin's like, wouldn't it make more sense to kill her? That's what I thought about when I was watching. And that's like this film. Wouldn't it make more sense to kill him?
See, people say Family Guy isn't that funny, but that's a good joke.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the thing. Well, the problem with Family Guy is, unlike Simpsons, which had a very clear drop off, Family Guy's consistently been hit and miss, which is depressing.
Well, earlier seasons were more hit than miss.
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
but yeah.
I guess they never miss, huh?
Okay, I don't know why you brought that
Oh,
up.
because you remember that?
I remember it,
Mia Khalifa.
Yeah, I remember it, but I don't know why.
Hit or
you bring-
miss.
I don't know
guess
why.
they never
I say it
miss,
again.
huh?
I'll say it once more. I don't know why you'd bring it up, just because you said
'Cause
the
I said
phrase
hit
hit
and
or
miss.
miss. Yeah, great. Anyway, so he says, well, here's the thing. I'm not really sure about the ending because obviously he just literally says 5 seconds earlier he's not political. It's not about politics why he's wearing this. And then he talks about, how he's mentally ill and he's a loner. But the thing is, throughout the whole movie, he's never talked about that. He's never talked about how, well, he's written stuff in his diary about he's mentally ill. And what's the hardest thing about mental illness is how everybody expects you to act normal, which I don't know. I wouldn't expect someone who's mentally ill to act normal. I don't know where he got that from. But anyway, so that's all, though. He's not been talking about like how society treats him poorly, basically. That he's not really mentioned that. He's not mentioned how Thomas Wayne, this despises him, or Thomas Wayne doesn't care about him.
Yeah.
And but then in this final scene, he goes on a rant about, nobody cares about him. People like Thomas Wayne, people like Murray, they don't care about him. And then he says, what do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? You get what you fucking deserve.
Whoa, Luke, no swearing, please. This is a family
You get
show.
what you fucking deserve. That's the thing. He says that, but like he never, like, he just said he wasn't political, and then he's
Yeah, it's interesting because the thing is that line, it comes across as very it's kind of a clunky line. I don't know. It's like a line. It just feels like a line that
I
sounds
think a
a
lot
bit
of
weird.
people liked it because he said society in it.
Society. It's so funny.
A mentally ill loner with the society. Yay!
Yay!
Say the
He
line,
said it.
Joker. A society. Yay!
Oh god, no, but yeah, I think it is interesting. I agree with you. Yeah, there is the kind of the big question is the Joker political? And I think basically my thoughts are, I think the one thing I could say is that
Well, no,
could
I'm
maybe
just
work.
talking about how in this scene it's like completely different.
Yeah,
Like that
okay,
line
yeah,
when
yeah.
he shoots
Yeah.
him. It's like all of a sudden he's had this political awakening.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Why
And
has
that's
this
the thing.
happened all of a sudden when clearly before throughout the rest of the movie there was absolutely nothing? And then suddenly something clicks in him. Is that it? That's because that's stupid if that's the case.
Yeah, I did get the impression like it does feel like his motivation does I think this is the phrase, about face. I don't know what that means, but it
an
means like
about
to change.
face.
Yeah, his motivation does an about face.
Because it
And,
works for the script, because that's the point the movie's trying to make.
Yeah,
so let's have the
exactly.
main character say it right at the end, even though he's actually not verbalized before why his situation is like what it is. Let's have him say it in the last scene to fully hammer that point home.
Yeah, he comes across as inconsistent, and that's the thing. Yeah, I don't mind him being, I guess, verbally inconsistent. Like, it's fine if he says, that he doesn't care about politics, let's say, and then comes out and does a load of things that very much relate to obviously a political standing, because he's allowed
he's
to.
just
be
not done it
inconsistent.
before,
But
though.
yeah, the thing is, his actions are inconsistent.
That's part of
and
it.
also the presentation of the film is inconsistent. Like, he's not.
Yeah, we follow this guy, and he's not political, and then suddenly at the end, he's saying how the mentally ill people, the rich people, basically don't care about him.
Yeah, it's. I mean, okay. Here's the thing. The two films this gets compared to, and arguably three films, because Paul Schaefer also wrote First Reformed, but let's ignore that. Are like, okay, let's just say Taxi Driver, because that's what the film is like. This film's most obviously.
Yeah,
The thing about Taxi Driver is like the whole film is him complaining. Travis Scott,
Bickle.
I can't remember. Travis Bickle. Yeah. Anyway, basically, the whole film is him complaining about how rubbish New York is and how New York is filled with shit, how New York is dirty, how New York is filled with all these horrible people. And then the film ends with him shooting a bunch of pimps and, human traffickers. And it's like, yes, that is consistent. Like, the whole film he's been complaining about all the horrible, gross people in New York, and it ends with him killing a bunch of horrible, gross people in New York. Obviously, there's like moral nuances to that, but the key thing is it's consistent. Obviously, with King of Comedy, the whole film is about a guy, he wants to be famous at any cost, and then he, at the end, kidnaps a late night TV show host so he can go and usurp his spot. It's like, it's consistent. In this film, it's like there's not really a through line between how the Joker is at the beginning of the film and how he is at the end of the film.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it just feels like, oh, we're at the end, and it's like, it feels quite sloppy. Like, that rest of the scene is completely different to the end. Like, I like, the line is good and all, like, it's an enjoyable scene, but it doesn't jive with the rest of the movie, unfortunately. I'll say that. So that's disappointing. Then, of course, he kills Murray, and then he, of course, inspires riots that night. Thomas Wayne gets killed. Of course, that happens in front of Batman. The pearls are there, so you know this is about. I like how they had to shove that in right at the end of the movie. And then the Joker has a dreamlike sequence where he thinks he's been celebrated by this mob. I assume it's a dreamlike sequence, and we'll talk about that at the end. In the social commentary, I think that's the best way to do it. And then he ends. He's in an asylum, just laughing, I guess, about. About how Thomas Wayne died. He obviously heard it on the news, and he's just laughing. He's like, you won't get it. You won't get this joke. It's funny. He died. Now, of course, just in that sum up, I basically touched on the social commentary aspects of how, exploitation. It's an exploitation movie of a mentally ill man, so therefore there has to be some social commentary in that, and how, society treats the mentally ill Michael. And I think that is the big takeaway, or the most obvious takeaway from this movie, that society does not treat mentally ill people well, and that is why the Joker turned into a monster and all that, because he was basically pushed to the edge. He didn't take his meds either because he couldn't get them anymore, and look what happened. It's a warning as well. I guess that would be a fair way to put it as well. What do you think?
Yeah. I think there's the fact that obviously you have the late show host, Murray, who obviously is making fun of this guy who has a mental health issue, and obviously that's not nice. But I think it does relate to something which you do see in society, which is people will make fun of people who are, like I say, just mentally different. So obviously, that's one example. And I think obviously, there's the economic aspect as well of how he's a poor person. And of course, there's the fact that obviously a lot of the time is people who are, not economically well off, who will have mental health issues and then be unable to deal with them. That's kind of, the social commentary.
Yeah, how in a society, which of course this, again, we'll bring it up. This is the thing, we have to bring it up. Like, this movie is set in the 1980s. I mentioned before how, Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, because of course this is in America. Ronald Reagan would be president, and he'd be implementing these policies, which would be, very harsh to people who weren't the top rungs of society, and therefore, how if you're down at the bottom of society, the bottom rung, basically this new political and economic system that was advocated for politicians in the 80s, like Ronald Reagan, would say that in this society, if you're someone like Arthur Fleck, your life has no value. Especially if you have mental health issues, your life has no value, basically. Look at what happened as well. Thomas Wayne punching him. The people who he looks up to make fun of him or don't care about him. Look, it's like you said, Murray making fun of him as well. And basically that's how it is. And look, if you take the message of this movie, because of course that, like, he inspires a counter-revolution. Like, the message is, okay, there needs to be a revolution against this. Like, because Arthur lives in horrible conditions. Look how shit he is treated. There is a revolution that he inspires, of course, but that revolution is correct. Like, it says on the newspapers, like, what is it, like, eat the rich or kill the rich or whatever. The bankers, the wealthy investors laughing at this guy who's on this train, and him, the Joker, fighting back, and it's basically what it is. It's class war, and this movie's message is that class war is necessary. Class war is something that is necessary when you have people like Thomas Wayne, in charge and saying everyone below him are clowns. Like, it's necessary, and that is, I guess, the main takeaway from the movie, and that is quite ironic considering what Todd Phillips has said, and we'll get onto what he said later. But I think that is it's a revolutionary message, Michael, in a Joker movie. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the dystopian aspect, it does remind me a bit of The Dark Knight Returns, which is, you know, a comic book, because I'm a nerd. No, I know the rough thing, which is basically it's obviously the kind of future Batman story, and it's about how society has gone completely to shit. Although it has a slightly different conclusion, that basically what you need is a fascist Batman to take over and he'll fix everything, which isn't really. But yeah, definitely it's, you know, it's not a. I guess you could say it's not like the most original take in the world, but it doesn't have to be. You know, it'll still be an original take for a Joker movie, and definitely, yeah, the fact that it does make a point of saying, and I think it could have maybe been a bit more kind of thematically coherent and brought this together from sort of more different angles. But I think if the basic point is, yeah, that the rich, the 1%, as it were, are the consistent enemies, and, you know, people shouldn't be making enemies of each other. They should be eating the rich. And yeah, I do agree with that. But
yeah,
speaking
of,
as
a principle.
Yeah, yes, exactly, yes. As a principle, I agree with eating the rich. But yeah, speaking of Batman being a massive fascist, do you want to talk about how this film is something of a Batman critique? Because actually, I mean, we've mentioned how, like, it's hard to imagine this film sliding into kind of the Batman universe because of how at odds Joker feels with, you know, the Joker of other Batman films. But it's also kind of hard to imagine how you can have Batman work, like, when you've made this film, because, you know, there are basically, I mean the point is pretty much it's pointing out that obviously
so you'd have another Joker movie and Batman is the villain.
Yeah, that's all you'd have to do. You couldn't have kind of the standard. You couldn't switch into just Christopher Nolan Batman films or something like that. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that would work. That would be another interesting take on Batman. How many takes have there been on Batman recently? No, yes. But yeah, basically, I mean, the thing is, obviously, the pretty simple critique of Batman is he is a super rich person who lives in a society with huge amounts of seemingly inequality and poverty, where a lot of the crime in that society is presumably caused by poverty, and yet he goes out and beats up the you know, criminal. And that's
I mean, in this hypothetical movie or second movie, he would have to be the villain.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, even in the films where he's a hero, he's basically doing that. Well, I mean, it depends. Obviously, like the supervillains, obviously, that he takes on are not necessarily poor people.
Well, yeah,
but
that's
kind of when you see him doing his standard like drug bust, which, you know, usually is how he kind of starts the film. You know, like,
okay, yeah, sure. I mean, sure, but, you know, I mean, like, the main point of the movie, like, Ra's al Ghul in the Batman Begins is trying to destroy Gotham.
Exactly, yeah. So I guess that's the thing.
The Joker's trying to kill loads of people. Like, you know, he's pretty easily the good guy. I mean, it's not like he's like beating up poor people, and that's the main focus. You know, maybe he does it like once or twice, but yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing. To make Batman, like you said, this super wealthy guy. You know, to make him seem like a hero, he has to have these super villains who kill loads of innocent people. But of course, if you did like a sequel, in this hypothetical sequel, this Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, does not seem to want to kill.
In the sequel, it's just Joaquin Phoenix just dancing and hiding in a fridge, and Batman. It could be. I think I'd like it if it was the Christian Bale Batman still, but it was just like, where are they? Drags him out.
No, that's the thing. Like, Joaquin Phoenix and a ragtag group of mentally ill people try to rob a bank to pay for their medication. Batman storms in and beats them. And
or just like, you know, Ben Affleck, because Ben Affleck when he does the warehouse raid, just like smashing people into walls in full on metal armor. He's you know, especially things. I mean, that would be the best thing actually if it was the Batman who kills. That would just add a little bit extra to it.
Yeah. Oh, we love Batman, don't we? Yeah, he's saving. Yeah, again, that would be a nice take on it, and perhaps a more realistic take. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it would be interesting if they made a film where it was the Joker, and the Joker was the more sympathetic guy, but he killed, and Batman was less sympathetic. Like, let's say Batman was like, you know, is it John Wayne? No, what's Bruce Wayne's dad?
Let's get off these. Hypothetical things.
Yeah, you're
right.
Okay,
because here's the thing. Like, yes, this movie is saying class war is necessary. And it's look how badly Arthur's being treated. Look how badly there's a garbage strike going on. You know, all of that stuff. Like, it's like Gotham's in decay. So what you need is a revolution, because the people at the top, they don't care, and that is illustrated quite clearly by how Murray Franklin acts, how Thomas Wayne acts. So yeah, you when the guy shoots him, says you get what you fucking deserve. Yeah, you do. I mean, maybe this. I don't know if Todd Phillips would advocate for, you know, killing people like that, but basically it is also a warning to wealthy people. Like, if you push people, people can only get pushed so far. Although I'm not quite sure it works as well as it did in the past, that message, I have to say. But anyway, we'll move on to, I guess, another aspect I want to talk about in terms of the social commentary. And this is where this movie it goes from because it's a quite a simplistic, easy to grasp message, or like eat the rich, look how badly people or the lower classes have been treated in this Gotham society. It goes to this movie then has the potential to go to another level, in my opinion. Because what did you say, Michael, at the start, at the beginning, about how this is like a realistic supervillain story of how somebody would become the Joker? What did you?
I said, well, I kind of compared it to Kick-Ass and Super. As being like, those films are about what if somebody decided to become a superhero, and how would that actually look in reality, and what would be the actual pathology behind that. And this film, to me, feels like it's a accurate representation of how somebody could become a super villain, in terms of
Yeah, but but that's the thing though. Like, if you let's look at this about how look this Joker character, Arthur Fleck, like he wants to be special. Like that is the only way he can imagine his life. Like when he hallucinates Murray talking to him right at the start, he obviously wants to be singled out. That's his dream, and the fact that he hallucinates that in the first place instead of watching the show, it's very obvious. Like he wants to be special. Like he understands he has a shit life. Like he says it's a tragedy, but he believes the way out of it is to be like special. Basically, right? And get on the show, become a famous comedian, make it in life, I guess. Then he obviously is at the rally against Thomas Wayne, where he sneaks in and he gets punched by Thomas Wayne, and he's happy that people are there and that he's inspired this, but he doesn't really care about the politics, does he? He cares about, oh look, I've done this. Look at what I've done here.
Yeah.
I've done this, and he, that what does the Joker mean, Michael, as a cultural character? Since The Dark Knight, he has become a symbol of white male alienation.
Yeah.
And this movie is clearly showing, like, this is how, because of the Joker, this is how people who are in a similar situation to Arthur in this movie, or who have that alienation, this is how they would act in real life. Now, they would, and this is why the ending of the movie where he says, you get what you fucking deserve, it just feels off, because this is how people now react because of the Joker. Or because of Tyler Durden or whatever, but the Joker is that symbolic character. It's that these white males who are alienated, who love the Joker, they don't want to join in these protests, like these class conscious protests. They don't want to achieve solidarity, and start a class war. They want to be special. They want to make it. They are directed away from, like I said, class consciousness to I guess individual nihilism. Basically, that's how they are directed, and they are directed because of cultural figures like the Joker. And when did these cultural figures like the Joker actually start, Michael? When did they start being portrayed in movies? It would be the 1970s and the 1980s. So that's why it makes sense for this movie to be set in that time period as well, because this is the start. I guess this is the start of these characters in culture being created. So yeah, that's how people think. Oh, like my life is shit. But I identify with this guy, the Joker, and that and instead of going for that, I guess, class solidarity, you descend into like a fantasy of, oh, imagine if I was, my life's shit. Imagine if I could be, famous on the news for killing people and shit. Imagine if I could do that, instead of actually, basically, I don't know, realizing that you are stronger within each other, like all the protesters do. And
well, it's like Martin Prince says, individually we are weak, but together we form a mighty faggot.
Yeah. Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah, he does, because a faggot is of course a reference to a bundle of sticks.
Yes,
he says individually we are weak like a single twig, but together we form an almighty faggot.
And it's like when Caesar says in Planet of the Apes together strong.
Yes.
He goes like that. Yeah. That I've seen that meme quite a bit, but yeah, that's the thing. That is not what this character does. All right, this character does not think like that. Clearly, he doesn't. And even, that's why in the end of the movie, like that, he has this dream where he's like celebrating with the mob, like, oh yeah, look what we've achieved. That's what he should be doing, but he's not actually doing that. That's a dream. I think that's pretty clear. And instead, yeah, he's still this individual who's still nihilistic. And so yeah, that's the thing. That's what I think why this movie is good, because it portrays how, like you said at the start, like a normal person can become like a supervillain, and they're directed to do that because of culture, instead of going down the better path, which is, yes, you're alienated, you're shit. Well, there is an answer, Michael, to that, and it is, unfortunately, it is not being blackpilled. It is not individual nihilism, etc., etc. So yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So basically, this film does present an alternative. Although having said that, you could make an argument that the film still has a very cynical edge, which is that the Joker, I would say it doesn't seem like the Joker authentically embraces a political ideology at the end of this film.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
okay,
saying.
sorry. I thought you were saying this film was offering the alternative. Oh, I see.
No,
Okay.
it's not. It's showing how this person who is someone who is a white male and alienated.
Yeah, he doesn't.
How
do the
he
right thing.
doesn't.
Okay,
do
so,
the right
okay,
thing.
yes. In that case, I unequivocally agree in that case because I think that's true. Like this film, it does show how. Unfortunately, the one area where I was going to disagree, it turns out we did agree. So I don't actually have anything else to say as like a hot take. But no, yeah, I agree. And
yeah,
I think it's an interesting thing.
If the movie is going for that, which again, the movie is set in the 1970s and the 1980s, and that's when these characters actually, will be portrayed in movies for the first time. Like, yeah, I think it's
that would be a really good take if it was intentional.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, was it intentional? Did Todd Phillips and the guy who he was writing this movie with, Scott Silver, actually think about this? Did they?
I think not, and I think there has to be a bit more there. I think the film. I guess the issue is, so obviously it does kind of end on a quite triumphant note. Like he does this little dance to the music playing, and you could make an argument maybe that's ironic. I guess the issue is
where
so what I mean is like at the end when he says oh you wouldn't get the joke, and then he kind of smiles and it plays the That's Life music and he's dancing down.
Well, that's the path he's taken. Well,
I know. Yeah, I guess.
Lol, nothing matters. Lol,
yeah,
it's all a big joke. Lol, that is the path he has taken. That's how someone becomes the Joker. That's why so many people. That's why the Joker is such a symbol for alienated white males. It's because of this attitude that he has.
But yeah, I'm not sure if the film necessarily, because obviously what you're talking about is a film which would at least to some degree offer the critique that this isn't what the Joker should be doing. And I'd say I don't think there's any really strong contextual evidence within the film to suggest that the film is saying like obviously the film is saying like is not saying it's okay to murder people and things like that, but I don't think the film is necessarily quibbling the Joker's lack of class solidarity or good political praxis. I think it's pretty much mute on that point.
It's not directly doing that, but it's showing this is what happens to this person. And again, that's like, this is something that I'm taking from it, that I think it could be the case.
No, I think that's fine. It's what did you say? It's what you get out of the film.
Yeah, that's what I get. This is a possibility, and it is a very strong possibility in my opinion. I don't know it is the case, but it could be the case. And I guess maybe not. Maybe it's just something that I'm thinking of that isn't at all true. But you know what? I thought I'd put it out there anyway. So Michael, let's move on to the moral panic of this movie, because here's the thing. There's a bunch of stuff on Wikipedia about this. On September the 18th, 2019, the United States Army had an email warning service members of potential violence at theatres screening the film, and noting that the Joker character's popularity among the incel community. A separate memo revealed the Army received credible information from Texas law enforcement regarding the targeting of an unknown movie theatre during the release. In an interview with a Wrap, Phillips expressed surprise at the criticism of the film's dark tone, stating, "It's because outrage is a commodity, and this is why I'm calling critics of the film, quote, far left." So the critics of the film are far left. Now, that doesn't jive with the fact that the movie is about class war. I don't believe Todd Phillips is that stupid. So unless he thinks that class war, that whole thing is bad, and that Thomas Wayne is correct for doing what he's doing, which, if that's the case, then wow, I don't think that is. So again, I think this must be a case of him basically just trying to rile people up. I don't know, trying to generate controversy.
Yeah,
accurate?
This is the thing is, it gets onto the fact, the whole people being offended thing, because obviously there is the line in this film where the Joker is told, "You can't joke about that," and then Todd Phillips, of course, did come out and basically say that he was upset that I think he basically came out and said that his comedy movies weren't successful anymore because nobody likes comedy anymore. Everyone gets offended by comedy. I'm pretty sure you can quote Todd Phillips on that.
Yeah,
but
he
yeah,
said something like that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't make jokes anymore, which
Yeah, yeah.
isn't again what this movie is.
yes,
really
even
about.
though the movie's called The Joker, it's not really about jokes. But yeah,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
she has that line. You can't say that, and that feels like obviously it's supposed to be she's an mocking again,
But
quite
she wouldn't
clumsily.
be far left.
Yeah,
would
that's
she?
the thing. Yeah, she wouldn't be. That's the thing that I genuinely think like.
But is he that dumb? He can't be that dumb.
See, here's the thing. A lot of people, something I've learned, and maybe this is my own personal black pill, is that a lot of the time now, whenever you're thinking about any sort of discussion, you have to go into it realizing that most people are kind of quite dumb. Especially when it comes
But
to,
he can't
especially
be
when
that
it comes to groups. I feel like a lot of the time you will get people who think like that every single person, I don't know, left of Donald Trump must be, I don't know, a Biden-loving Democrat or things like that, or you know, any other. Like a lot of people like to group people together, and I could easily see like
'Cause
the mentality of.
Okay, look, the people who are making crazy claims about this film were liberals.
Yeah.
Basically, they were liberals.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you got to
Liberals
realize
are
that.
not far left.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people, especially in America, don't understand. Like, I mean, I tell you
know,
what. I tell you what. You know, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks.
Yes,
He
I know
literally,
him.
he actually came out. This is my favorite quote by him. He said, "Communism doesn't work. I know some of my super liberal fans are going to be upset by hearing me say this, but communism doesn't work." And then I think he later went on to say that socialism is good. Socialism is what we have in the USA right now. The state does some things. The private corporations do other things. But basically, anyway, that's the side. But the thing is, like, in other words, he characterized communism as a super liberal position by basically saying. So even that shows that a fine, upstanding political commentator like Cenk Uygur can think that communism is, quote, a super liberal position.
But
So
he said specifically left, though.
yeah,
maybe-
yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, maybe he can't be that dumb.
Yeah, I think he definitely.
I just thought he
can
was
be
doing
that
it for
dumb.
controversy.
No, yeah, I mean, I see. The thing is, I do think like at the end of the day,
So
I think
who
we
are
live
the
in.
people advocating for class war then in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
movie?
yeah,
Would
that's
they
the-
be far left? Would they
Well,
be far
yeah,
right?
I mean, I guess you could say like obviously there is the fact that Donald Trump is kind of a populist, so obviously in this film was released, so maybe it's like this idea of
Just
the
be-
right wing are the ones who are now standing up for the working class. That could be the logic.
Anti-establishment.
Yeah, it's a
but-
bit weird, but yeah.
But then that's the thing. Like they talk about how the right wing are, and they're standing up for the working class. But then this movie talks about how services are being cut, like the mental health services
Yeah,
are being cut.
that doesn't make
That's
sense.
clear, and that is like that's a fiscal thing
Yeah.
that
The
clearly.
Conservatives unambiguously support.
Yes, exactly. Like so, I don't know. I don't know, man. I'd like to.
Yeah,
hear him.
I think what I actually do think though is that you mentioned controversy. I think in the US and in the world in general, in the society we live in, it's true that like dividing people up into clear groups is a good way to kind of create controversy. So it's kind of like
I know, so that's what I thought he was doing.
Yeah, but I guess that's why. So I think that's probably it. I think it could be the
You
case
think
that
it is
he was.
probably it that he
well,
was doing
see, I think it's kind of. I want to say it's half of one and six of the other. Whatever
you
they say,
can't
half
do
half
that.
doesn't know. But yeah, it's kind of like. I think there's a strong case for that because I do think it's true that like. If you have a nuanced take and you kind of point out the actual complexities of why different people on different ends of the spectrum believe different things, then that's going to be a lot more confusing to people than just going like, oh, it's the far left, they hate, jokes. But then at the same time, I believe like a part of him must genuinely believe it. So I think it's kind of like, I guess I would say it's willful ignorance. That's what I'm going to say. So it's kind of like willful ignorance in that it's like more convenient for him to express things in ignorant terms, even though I think deep down, he must know it's not really true because, like you say, obviously this film has plenty of areas where it makes it obvious that the left is right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not
it could be the
just-
case.
It's not, sorry, I'll just say it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
just riots. That's the thing. It's not just riots.
Yeah.
It's riots based on the fact that Thomas Wayne says people like who haven't made something of themselves are clowns, and mental health services. Like it's very clear. Like this is these are a left. This is a left wing position that is being
yeah.
advocated for. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know.
I think the best thing I could say, well, I don't know if it's the best thing. What I think is that it could be the case of like he's compartmentalizing being left wing in terms of holding to left wing views versus being left wing as belonging to a broad group called the left wing.
But anyway, I guess we'll move on. I mean, look, maybe his comments have got us talking about that for the last 5 minutes. I didn't intend for that to happen, but they're just it's just interesting to talk about, really. And yeah, that's why, again, you kind of like this movie because there's a lot of mystery around it. Like, what does the director actually mean? Like, what are we going to get from this? And then you see some comments and you're like, okay, maybe what I get from the movie isn't what I should get because he didn't intend that to be the case. But then again, he could just be saying this stuff for controversy. So who knows? The mystery. We love it. So Joaquin Phoenix also walked out of an interview, by the way, from The Telegraph when asked if the film could inspire mass shooters. And the film did not play in Aurora, Colorado, after the 2012 mass shooting occurred during the screening of The Dark Knight Rises. Three families of victims, as well as the mother of a witness, signed a letter to one of those with the request. And yeah, basically, theaters also prohibited moviegoers from wearing Joker costumes during its run, while the LA and New York City Police Departments increased police visibility at area theaters, though they did not receive any specific threats. Wow, what a shocker. So yeah, that was some of the moral panic around it. Some writers expressed concerns that the Joker's sympathetic portrayal of a homicidal maniac can inspire real-world violence. Richard Lawson of Vanity Fair found the film was too sympathetic towards white men who commit heinous crimes, and the socio-political ideologies represented in the film are evils that are far more easily identifiable to people who shoot up schools and concerts and churches, who gun down the women and men they covet and envy, who let loose some spirit of anarchic animus upon the world. There's almost a woebegone mythos placed on them in search for answers. Okay, about that I'll say, and he sums up, that's just one, but of course there's a lot of other people who were saying, oh, I don't want to go and see the Joker because of what, white male violence or whatever. And of course we had that clip from SNL at the start of, oh, the Joker is just about white male rage, don't go and see it, it's ridiculous. And yeah, Richard Lawson's saying, it's too sympathetic to white men who commit heinous crimes. And yeah, basically he's saying, well, people who shoot up schools, churches, concerts, who gun down the women and men they covet. Again, it's not about that at all. He's like, he doesn't shoot up a school at all. So again, you haven't seen the movie, I guess, or that's what you decided to take from it, even after seeing it, which is stupid. And yeah, he says at the end, there's almost a woebegone mythos placed on them in search for answers. Well, I'd say to that, like, don't you want to? If people are shooting up schools, don't you want to find an answer? Why would you not want to find an answer to that, to stop it happening in the future? Like, let's understand these people, so hopefully in the future, this doesn't happen. Like, oh, they're just bad people, so we shouldn't. If somebody is capable of committing a school shooting, we shouldn't try to help them. Even though that could stop them, shooting up a school, we shouldn't try to do that. It's just ridiculous logic, really. So yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like, and this movie gives you an answer of to how, like, it's because he feels completely neglected from society. So there's that. Yeah, I'll move on to another. But anything to say on that?
No. Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, okay. Jim Geraghty of the National Review wrote, he was worried that a certain segment of America's angry, paranoid, emotionally unstable young men will watch Joaquin Phoenix descending into madness and desire to get back at society by hurting as many people as possible and exclaim, finally, somebody understands me. Okay, again, this, of course, didn't happen. This did not happen. The movie is about class war, and this is from the National Review, a conservative publication. So it's not just liberals, it's conservatives as well, or old school conservatives. I can't remember how, like, Fox News or the people like that took this Joker movie. Because on the one hand, because the reason why people were concerned about white male violence is because of Trump, obviously. Like, that's why. If this movie had come out several years beforehand, this wouldn't have been, like, I got this quote from Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who praised the film, stating, I think the reason people got so uncomfortable with the film is because it feels too true, too raw. I was watching it and thinking to myself, God, if this came out a year into Obama's time in office, I don't think we'd be feeling as worried about it. That's the thing. Yeah, and she is completely right. I mean, there's no reason to be worried about it in the first place, but yeah, she's right. It's the fact that this came out during the Trump era. So I'd be interested to see if Fox News joined in with, other conservative moral panics about, oh, is this film dangerous? Or because calling this film dangerous implicitly calls Trump supporters wackos. They'd be like, no, the liberals are going crazy again. I don't know. I can't really remember. But yeah, basically, Michael, point is, no mass shootings happened. This movie did not inspire people to kill other people. And that Aurora shooting, by the way, the guy wasn't even inspired by the Joker. I believe it just...
Yeah, I heard that was like a thing people kind of came up with after the fact.
Yeah, it's because it happened during The Dark Knight Rises and he had green hair. So he was inspired by the Joker. But yeah, it wasn't... It didn't turn out to be the case. He was just incredibly mentally ill, I guess. So yeah, here's the thing. Like, I hate this... I hate this attitude of just like, oh, well, since, it's a white male who's doing it. Let's because I said before, it's like, you know, do you not want to find out
More black mass murderers.
more black mass murderers?
More women shooting late night hosts.
Okay, so here's the thing: like, if the Joker has to be, or the Joker doesn't have to be a white male, but for this movie specifically, he has to be a white male, and I explain why. Because if if he was any other identity, it would be, this character is also standing up to the patriarchy or to racism. But if you don't want to make a movie on that, he's standing up against this economic system which doesn't give a damn about him, and the fact is, like, he doesn't have any institutional barriers because of his identity. Like, you could argue, well, black people, they know what, or people who are female, like, it's like, of course they understand that there are barriers in front of them by, set by society. They understand that. But for someone like Joaquin Phoenix, that isn't the case because, they're a white male. That's this identity. That's what the phrase white privilege comes from. And so therefore, if even he can be portrayed by society, it shows how fucked up society is. And you think that's why this movie has to be, the Joker character has to be white and male. Basically, it can happen to anyone regardless of their identity.
I was saying, there's kind of like this idea in like sociology that there's sort of demographics which aren't demographics, which I think is kind of what so the classic example is the idea of sort of white feminism, that basically the point being that if you are a white woman and it's just about the fact you're a woman, whereas if you're a black woman, it's about the fact you're a woman and you're black. And in a similar sense, obviously, what you're getting at is that if you are, let's say, if this film was about a black lesbian woman, it could never be as simple of a critique of the society itself, because it would have to get into the other kind of, I guess, intersectional facets of society. So I pretty much agree with you that it has to be about somebody who does not have any other kind of matrices of oppression apart from just the general economic and social malcontent surrounding them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, like, this guy has no barriers. He's white. Of course, he's mentally ill, but that's the point. It's like you can have somebody who is white male and he can still get treated like shit if he's got a mental illness. Basically, and if this character, like, say, it was black or a female, it'd be like, oh, it's sexism, it's racism. But no, it's just like how society, literally anybody who society, this capitalist society, in the 1980s, this, that Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher embodied. It doesn't matter about your identity. If you do not have any value to them, have value to people who are wealthy, you don't do anything for them, they will just cast you aside and act like you don't exist. And that can happen to anybody, and it happened to this guy who's white and male. So I guess, and it happens today with a bunch of people, like, who are quote unquote in the incel community, fans of the Joker or whatever. Like, here's the thing,
bronies.
Fucking bronies. Like, is there this goal? Is there this cynical goal to condemn white male alienation? Because it exists. It's a real thing. And do you want to fix that, or do you just want to condemn it? Do you want to say basically it's reactionary and racist, and that therefore if anybody feels that way who is white and male, then they're wrong and they're bad, and then that's it. That's just how it is. Because if you go down that path, then that is the opposite to, I'll use that word,
that will cause
solidarity.
More killers.
Sorry?
That will cause more killers.
I mean, yeah,
they should make the Joker 2. The Joker 2 should actually be about the Joker lives in a world. He comes out of prison and he sees loads of people attacking him for being a white man and saying, hey, the fact that you felt rage means you're a terrible person. And then he ends the film by killing them all. I think that would be a good ending.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if it's a conscious strategy trying to, basically all these people trying to say, oh yeah, if you're white and you're male, then, and you feel bad, well, you should just shut up because it's reactionary, it's racist and sexist, or you are racist and sexist, etc. And that means that they can't, they cast them as an other, so they can't basically, build. I'll say that word once more, solidarity. I think that's the best word to use. And yeah, therefore, I don't know if it's a conscious strategy, but look, I think. It could just be because of Trump. Like, Trump just broke everybody's brains in that way, and a certain section of people. So this is why they think when they see this movie. But yeah, I just think it's the whole conversation about white male rage. Like, there's an SNL and white male violence. I don't care that they're bad people if they kill a bunch of people. It's like, well, there are reasons why things happen, and I'm always somebody who's interested in why stuff happens, and just to castigate. It's like we were talking about Jojo Rabbit, weren't we, Michael, a few weeks ago? Remember that? And you were talking about
Yeah.
how, like, if you were a Nazi, like there were people who considered themselves good people who were Nazis, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so how does someone who's like a good person, how does Nazi ideology affect them? You know, you don't just have like good people and bad people. Like that's not how the world works. It's a stupidly simplified version. Like this guy Arthur Fleck, like he was. Would you describe him as a good person before he went on his rampage?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would. Sorry. Yeah, before he went on his rampage, yes, he was a good person, or at least a morally neutral person.
Yeah, a good person or a morally neutral person. And why did he decide to kill a bunch of people? It's because something it wasn't because something like basically snaps inside of him and he's bad. It was that, it's a process, and let's analyze that process, and let's see maybe this process happens in people in real life, and to prevent stuff like that from happening in the future, or just to make people's lives more bearable. Let's make sure that you have a better life for people like Arthur Fleck. Even though he did end up killing people, I just think that's the way to go. You're not good or bad. It's a stupidly childish way to view the world. But anyway, Michael, that's it, I guess, on that moral panic thing. Do you want to conclude now? You go first.
This film, it's an interesting film. I mean, it's obviously for a superhero film, it's not really got many of the marks of a superhero film, and as a kind of exploration of this crazy guy, it's probably not good as good as the films of which it is derivative. But at the end of the day, it's still we don't give points for originality here, because as a film that kind of touches on those same themes, it's still pretty good. Having said that, it is obviously deficient in some ways, most notably that there is not as much consistency to the character. You don't really get as clear of a sense of where the character is going or where the character is coming from. And I think it is true that a big part of the stuff in the middle just feels like bad stuff happens to him. Regarding the themes, some of them are good. Obviously, I think the critique of Batman is one, and kind of the idea of the society Batman comes from and what it says about a society where a super rich person like Batman becomes like the hero. That's a point which I think has been made by other people, kind of commentators and like, but it's not been in a film before, and I think it's worth it having been in a film. So I do appreciate that aspect. But overall, regarding the themes, I don't think there was any kind of real thematic point that was pushed out a lot. And I also feel like there were other moments in there that made it feel a bit inconsistent. Like, for example, the line of the woman just talking about, you can't say things because they're offensive. And it's like, is that the point of the film? Well, seemingly not. But yeah, this film, it's not really a thematic exploration of anything apart from just society's kind of bad, which is not a wrong point, but just not a particularly fantastically interesting point. And with all of that said, it's still entertaining though. Like it's a perfectly entertaining film. It's an enjoyable film, and for me, I think, given not so much its flaws, but just what it fails to have in addition to what it does have, I kind of just want to give it a 7. I'm gonna, I think, rank it a low 7. Let's say above Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but below The Usual Suspects. There we go. That's where I'm ranking it.
You say it's not a thematic exploration, but like it's not just like society is bad.
No, yeah, it's a bit more complicated.
I mean, yeah.
But it was a conclusion, Luke. I had to be overly simplistic.
I mean, but I think you're being very harsh on it. Like it's not 10 out of 10. I'll give you an insight. I lied at the start. Yeah, how twisted of me. But the fact is that it is. It's interesting to see, like how basically every pillar of society, which is meant to help this guy, just falls away, and therefore he believes that he doesn't live in a society, becomes nihilistic, and that is interesting to see. And you could say, it's just a basic exploitation movie about how some guy snaps, but again, there's a what to do about that. Like there's a message about class war is needed. Like that's a theme that's there. There's a message also about like this guy. Again, how this takes place in this time period because of Reagan and Thatcher and Thomas Wayne, who I bet around this time is like sending workers out to like Mexico and like China, because he owns this like Wayne Industries, whatever the fuck Wayne Industries is. I bet that's happening as well at the same time, like the hollowing out of an American society. All of that, it's like it explains a lot of problems. And yeah, the Arthur Fleck is the subject, and of course Joaquin Phoenix plays him superbly as well. And yeah, I agree with the politics of it, despite what Todd Phillips says. Again, I don't know if it's controversy or he was just being dumb or whatever. And yeah, the moral panic around it was stupid, but I did appreciate how it made the film more interesting because yeah, people are talking about it more, and yeah, I like it when the discourse gets going. It can be fun, even if some of the takes are stupid. It's fun to look at them and dissect them, I guess. So overall, Michael, I'm not going to give it 7 out of 10. I'm going to give it an 8.
8.5.
No, just an 8.
Okay, yeah.
Just an 8 out of 10. Again, yeah, like it's.
I think this is a repeat of last week. I gave it a 7, you gave it an 8.
Yeah.
You need to stop doing that, Luke. It's becoming predictable.
Well, yeah. Initially, but on a rewatch, I think it gets better. Like that's the thing. It's a really fun, enjoyable movie, and there are a lot of stuff. Yeah, stuff just happens that's bad to him, but it's executed very well. So that's why he gets it up to an 8. And I was tempted to put it as an 8.5, but again, I don't really know if I could go that far, considering I don't know how much Todd Phillips intended. So an 8 seems fair to me at the end of the day. What we do next week, Michael?
Well, I tell you what, the only thing that could have made the Joker better is if it was done in one take. That's the true mark of cinematic quality, and we will be reviewing 1917 next week.
1917 is what we are going to be reviewing, and yeah, making predictions for the Oscars in 2021. That's coming up soon. So yeah, thank you for listening. We have been selecting and reflecting on the Joker, a true twisty, chaotic tale of a movie. I don't know. Yeah, it's the Joker, and who knows when we'll see the Clown Prince of Crime again. But there you have it. Thank you for watching. I've been Luke. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.